build it, they will come.
Unless
it's a Disney park.
Unless
I'm sorry.
it's way overpriced and unnecessary, like the PS6. It sounds like.
Well, let's not judge the PS6 yet. I don't know why I'm the one having to defend the PS6 here, considering I don't care. But Sony has its fans. PlayStation 2 is a great console, I'll admit that, even though I'm more of a Nintendo guy usually. But Sony has reportedly awarded a contract for the PlayStation 6's chip to AMD, choosing the American semiconductor company due to their strong focus on backwards compatibility. This decision came after a competitive bidding process back in 2022 that saw major players like Broadcom and Intel eliminated from any consideration, according to sources cited by Reuters. AMD designed the custom chip system on a chip for both PlayStation 5 and the upcoming PlayStation 5 Pro. So they were heavily favored by Sony for the role in the development of the next generation console, and no one is really too terribly surprised with the reasons why did perk some ear-ups. Reuters reported that Sony's decision was largely influenced by the need to ensure seamless transition for gamers, allowing them to continue enjoying PlayStation 5 games on the new system. The primary concern for Sony appears to have been maintaining backwards compatibility without incurring insane costs or diverting too many engineering resources as part of that Friday, so you can play the same games you have on your PlayStation 5 on the next system.
I mean, that
didn't used to be a thing. I mean, actually, Sony has been better about that. They weren't. They kind of got rid of it on the PlayStation 3, but they had it in the beginning, then they got rid of it. But like PlayStation 2 could play PlayStation 1 games.
I think the biggest problem for gamers that idea that I can't take the games from my PS4 and play them on my PS6 or whatever would be, that means the console you're buying is kind of disposable, which I guess is how we've come to think of computers, unless you are actively updating them, which you can with computers, you can't with consoles. That's something we talked about, was it last week or the week before? But that might be acceptable to gamers if the price is right. It was always assumed that these consoles were reasonably priced, cheaper than a PC.
Yes.
But as they're becoming more as expensive,
more like PCs.
So, that you can't think of them that way, and the lack of backwards compatibility starts to become an issue. It actually becomes unpalatable for me to continue down that line if I'm a console person. It all becomes too much.
Why do you think Microsoft created the Xbox? Yeah. The primary reason they did, and if I'm remembering the story correctly, I think they went to Sony and offered them some sort of Windows thing for their upcoming PlayStation system or down the line, and said, Sony, no, we'll make our own thing. That's okay. Thank you. And I think that spooked Microsoft, fearing that if game consoles become like PCs one day, then they will, then the Windows will have a nasty competitor on their hands. Yeah. The trouble was Microsoft kind of ignored like the whole tablets and smartphones and things like that. They weren't paying attention to that part of it.
Yeah.
But it's a great thing, too, because if PS6 is anything like PS5 exclusive on the console, it'll be hard to come by. All of this starts to make me wonder, do we even need a PlayStation 6? And to that, concerns are growing. The PlayStation should launch at a $700 price point, similar to the PlayStation 5 Pro. Paul Tassi of Forbes suggests that a $600 minimum price seems inevitable, reflecting the increase from the PlayStation 5's model launch price of $500. I actually sort of understood the $500 launch price if I'm going by inflation. How bad inflation is now, I sort of understood why they were charging that. But Tassi brought up a bunch of reasons, such as the inflation-adjusted cost of production, Sony's willingness to maintain a higher price due to less competition from Xbox, and a trend of increasing price of each new console iteration. They all make a $700 launch price likely for the PlayStation 6. That's assuming no disc drive, no pack-in game, and these days, who knows if it'll even come with the power cord and controller. I kid, but...
Yeah, that's the other thing, and just to infuse just a little bit of Econ 101 here, you brought up the whole issue of inflation. these are getting to be tight times for the average
and these are
buyer.
becoming luxury items.
They are becoming luxury items, and the companies are going to need to start realizing this is not a necessity. This is not something people need to live. And when things get tight enough, they will stop buying these luxuries to be able to buy food and pay rent and, live. So you got to start pulling back those prices or go out of business.
Space Fraggle, there's no $120 game. Oh, wait. I think Star Wars Outlaws had a $120 tier. Never mind. Ubisoft, Anyway, yeah, I don't know what whatever Nintendo has in the works, what it's going to be or what it's going to be called. I'm calling it Switch 2 right now, but it could be something else. They're predicting probably $400 for that one, which makes sense because the Switch was $300. You there?
I'm ruminating on that because I'm like, it could be more when you start thinking about, as you said, things like inflation, the market, availability of chips. There's a lot of issues there.
In the meantime, we have the 30th anniversary PlayStation Anniversary Collection. That does look kind of neat if you're into the old school PlayStation. Did you ever have a PlayStation or see what they looked like?
No,
they were a gray console. They had a gray design, kind of like this. This is invoking the spirit of the original console. It was actually a neat looking little game system. It had like a push down top, which you would put the CD-ROM into, and had gray controllers. And this is very much emblematic of that classic design. This is a version of the Pro and a version of the PlayStation 5 regular that you can get. How do I feel about all this? Let me see here. Sony announces PS1 style PlayStation 5. Sony has announced limited edition PS1 style PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Pro, and more as part of the 30th anniversary collection. The collection was revealed in a video from PlayStation below, which also revealed a limited edition DualSense Edge, and PlayStation Portal. Pre-orders for all products beginning September 26th and will be released on November 21st. The PlayStation 5 Pro bundle is likely the most limited edition, with only 12,300 units available worldwide. The bundle comes with the PlayStation 5 Pro itself, a vertical stand, a charging station. You get the vertical stand, huh?
I mean, yeah. Imagine that, not charging separate for that.
It's a special vertical stand, and the DualSense Edge controller, all in the classic PlayStation style. Also comes with the original PlayStation style cable connector. Oh yeah, it's kind of neat when you plug the connector in. It's one of those USBs, but it's surrounded by the old-fashioned looking hookup. So. Yeah. Other consoles appear PlayStation 5 Slim Disc Digital Edition, but it does not come with a matching disc drive cover. The other console available is the PlayStation 5 Slim Digital Edition. Hold the phone. So there's no regular PlayStation 5 that's available like this?
I guess.
This is just the digital junk. I'm just...
Wonderful.
Maybe the Slim, you can get can the Slim take a CD-ROM drive adapter? I think it can. But then it won't match, will it? Because it won't be the same color.
Right.
I just. Does anyone care? Anyone in the chat interested?
I mean, it's not like I'm going to be buying this. I am not the target market for this. It's not.
Oh, yikes, Geek Flag, you don't like nothing. You were picking on the Switch last week. Whoa, 30th anniversary. The market is finding a niche for 90s nostalgia. You know what? They should re-release Tamagotchi and lava lamps. But lava lamps were nostalgia for 70s.
Actually,
in the 90s.
Lava lamps are still on the market. They've never gone off the market.
Tamagotchis are still available. They released an R2D2 Tamagotchi.
Which
I think I got one for you, didn't I?
Year.
I got you. Yeah, I got you a R2D2 Tamagotchi.
Yep.
I have to say, back in the 90s when they were rare, and that was a good conversation starter. If you had a Tamagotchi, no one else could find one. When I started a new job, and I was kind of shy and didn't know anybody, all the girls were like, "You have a Tamagotchi," and they were all wanting to know about it. So, okay, I will buy a 2600 Atari console. Okay, well, they're re-releasing the 7800.
As a matter of fact, yeah.
And it'll play the 2600 games on it too. Yay. You know what's funny though? A couple of years back, Sony released, like Nintendo did the NES Classic and the Super Nintendo Classic, and then Sega did the Sega Genesis Mini. They were doing all these mini versions of the consoles with like a bunch of games on them you could hook up to your HD TV. Yeah. Sony did one for the PlayStation, and everybody hated it.
Huh.
They put European ROMs of games on it for some reason. It didn't include a single Castlevania game. All the other mini consoles had at least one Castlevania game on it. And they didn't put Castlevania Symphony of the Night or Castlevania Chronicles on it. It was considered a disaster. I didn't buy one. So
I mean, I guess it is a little tone deaf if you don't know what it is that the fans want in the first place. Certain games, if you don't have them, people are not going to be interested.
I assume they didn't put Castlevania Symphony of the Night because Sony had paid Konami to make a fancy PlayStation exclusive Castlevania collection that had Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood on it. But Castlevania Chronicles came out on the PlayStation 1 too. They could have put that on there, but they didn't do that. I just don't get it. I don't think there were any Mega Man games on it either. They could have put Mega Man X4 on there. What do I know? Let me see. They should make games on 80s action movies and sci-fi horror movies. They should be making games based on 80s. Well, you know what they are doing? It's a re-release of an older game, but they are redoing a remaster of the Thing of the game they based on the Thing back in the 2000s.
I'm starting to recognize a bit of a commonality here. Yeah. They're re-releasing.
Yeah,
because the new stuff kind of sucks.
Kind of. And I'm telling you, even the kids, they're playing the old stuff. Clue Channel, Castlevania 4 is the height of gaming soundtracks. Love Castlevania 4.